Hello and welcome to another Typical Boro podcast. I'm your host, Steve Dixon. Please, can I keep asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel? Very important. The numbers are going up every week, which is superb, so I have to thank you for that. If you're listening via other platforms, please rate and review. And as always, you can catch us on the Red Radio every Tuesday, 6 until 7. We have 3 people on my screen today. We have the ever-present Graham Bandira. You all right, Graham?
All good, yeah. Should be an interesting show.
Absolutely. And we'll have 2 guests. We'll have the Red Radio's breakfast show presenter and Vice Chair of Middlesbrough Supporters Forum. It's Caroline Walker. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on. It's going to be interesting.
And we'll have a Teesside Superman, 7-time Paralympian, silver medalist in Paris for the wheelchair men's basketball team. He's been on before. It's a welcome back to Terry Bywater. Welcome, Terry.
Yes, gents, and thank you for having me on again. Yeah, it's more than happy to be on. It's going to be a fun one, I think, isn't it? Lots to discuss.
Too much, I think.
I'm just going to start though with a little bit of sad news. Obviously, Middlesbrough versus Portsmouth at Fratton Park yesterday. Sadly, before the game, a supporter took ill in the stands and never managed to make it home. Nobody should go to a football match and not make it back home. And I just like to pass my condolences on from everybody at the Typical Boro podcast to the family and friends of that Portsmouth supporter yesterday. Really sad news. Right. Portsmouth 2, Middlesbrough 1. Matt Ritchie's goals on 54 and 82 were too much for the Boro yesterday. Graham, I'll come to you for your thoughts on yesterday's performance. I will start by saying there was one change. Edmondson came in for the injured Anthony Dijksteel. I don't know what happened, what the injury is, but obviously what happened, Edmondson went into the centre-back and was shuffled Rav Vandenberg across the right-back. So what are your thoughts, Graham?
I thought that was an instant problem in the first place. Arguably your best centre-back is having to play in a completely alien position to him, and he did look like a fish out of water. Obviously, if Ayling was 100%, he would have started that. I understand why he didn't start, but it's still agonising that you've got a right back on the bench who doesn't actually start the game. But for whatever reason, that's what he went with, and it clearly didn't work out because we were cruelly exposed on their left hand side, our right hand side, and Vandenberg had a poor game, to be honest. We just seem to sort of move the defence around week on week, and there's never any continuity. So as a player, you don't even know your side partner's going to be every game, which is a massive problem to us. The game itself, it just got away from us as usual because we allowed it to. We were in complete control. A turning point was probably Bergzorg when he missed that chance to make it 2-0. That probably would have been good night Vienna. But Boro, we've chucked 2-3 goals away leads before, so you just can't be certain. But second half we were abysmal. Absolutely shambolic. Again, it was pretty much similar to what we watched against Blackburn in the Cup. They were just all over the place. And as soon as they upped the tempo, you knew they were going to do it. The manager would have got into them at half-time and said, look, you're giving Boro far too much respect. You need to get wired in, get close to them. Try and free Rich up as much as you can because he is a threat. He's an aging threat, but he still found a way against us. And we never dealt with him. Again, it looked like Borges was targeted on that side and he got plenty of joy from him. And so, all at sea, as soon as they decided that they were going to go for us, we just don't know how to react. We don't know what to do. There's no leadership. There's no camaraderie within the team to say, look, come on, they're at us now. Get in the trenches together, dig in, and try and find a way to work this out. And it was never apparent. You could sense the way the game was going to go even before it actually happened. We can see it as fans, and I'm sure that the travelling contingent who went down there, who were absolutely amazing, by the way, fantastic. Hats off to each and every one of you. If we can see that, why can't the manager? Why can't the manager do something to arrest that slide? When games are going away from us, he never seems to make any sort of in-game change to try and combat these problems, and it's getting worse week on week. So I alluded to him being under pressure last week after Blackburn, but dear me, where do we go from here? He's more than under pressure now. So we've got to see a drastic change between now and the end of the season to give me any confidence that we can go into next season and better ourselves, because let's be realistic. This season is vastly slipping away from us now. It doesn't look like we're going to pull up any trees in the transfer window. I'm pretty bored of that already, to be honest. We've seen Sheffield United this morning just going for 2 strikers. Bang, bang, Brereton Diaz, Tom Cannon. Pretty much guarantees them promotion. I think Leeds would be too strong. Burnley are going to be a nightmare to wrestle with. So we're out of the playoffs now anyway, so we probably shouldn't even be worried about them teams. So, yeah, disaster class from Boro yet again.
Caroline, we've been here before, haven't we? We've seen it at Watford away earlier in the season when we went down 2-1 at Watford after taking the lead. It's rinse and repeat with Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough at the moment, Caroline, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. I'm not quite as pessimistic as that. But yes, it is worrying. You mentioned there about the defence, all at sea a lot of the time. But also, where's that person in the midfield who is going to protect the defence as well? Because I noticed with Portsmouth yesterday, certainly for the first goal and a couple of 3 other times in the match, one ball from defence, from somebody who was completely on their own unmarked, literally took out our entire defence, and they scored the first goal from that. Where's that hard centre? We're very soft-centred. Hackney's not really is he a defensive midfielder? I don't think he knows what he is. Aidan Morris definitely isn't. He's much more creative. And Dan Barlaser, I'm not even going to enter that argument because I'll just start getting annoyed about that one. So we just haven't got that. We haven't got that that's protecting the defence. They're exposed all the time. And then they're just not dealing with it certainly not on the Borges/Engel side of the wing. Whether, is Ryan Giles coming in to take that place? Word is he's coming in actually as a left winger to free up Bergzoy to play centre striker when Latte Lap goes. But I think the most worrying thing is the lack of the determination. Get stuck in, blood, sweat and tears, put your bodies on the line. And we have done that this season on some occasions. We have done a great rearguard action and we've looked as though we cared about it. But the games that we've just spoken about, Watford, certainly yesterday, it actually didn't look as though they could give a damn. They looked as though they were playing an end-of-season game, very little to play for. Yet we were, we almost are, apart from goal difference, in the playoffs. We probably haven't got top 2 to play for. I think that's completely unrealistic, even for the most optimistic fan. But we've still got playoffs to play for. And once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. Just go for it. Just look as though you actually want to play for that, 2,600 odd people who made a 600+ mile round trip, spent their money and their time to watch you play. Show that you care about them. And that's what gets me frustrated more than anything else.
Terry, you're a very passionate athlete. Are Middlesbrough lacking a bit of passion, like Caroline's alluding to?
Yeah, and it's something that I don't like talking about because, as you know, I'm very passionate about the club and I've always had the managers back, I've always had the players back, and I'm always very, very positive about the team and the manager's choices. But the past 4 or 5 games are just, I'm just really frustrated with the whole setup. I'm frustrated with the manager. I'm frustrated with the players. I've never talked about commitment or passion from some of the players, but I've got question marks over several of them now. Like we just said then, there was 2,000+ fans there yesterday. What more passion do you need? What more commitment do you need? Like, we've made that long trip to get down there to watch the boys, and they just don't put a shift in. We go 1-0 up, we think the game's over again, exactly like we did against Sheffield. And like we just said there, like, we were sat in the playoffs, so there's everything to play for. The team that I seen several weeks ago, when we were banging in goals, we were full of confidence, and the team I see now, I think there's something going on behind the scenes, and I'm not sure what it is. I think we'll never find out what it is. But we're like chalk and cheese. Listen, it was nice to see Morris back yesterday. I think it's not a coincidence that we've been playing terrible since he's been injured. I think we missed him big time. The body language, the way we're playing out from the back, we look lazy. We don't look interested, and that's a huge concern. We were sat in the playoffs yesterday. We have everything to play for, and like we just said, anything can happen. So that performance to me yesterday was unacceptable. We need some big changes. I don't know. I've not got the answer to that. but I think we have to go thinking about maybe even changing certain players. Transfer window, like Bandy said, I'm bored of that as well. We have what we have, the team what we've got is the team what we've got now. We're not going to bring no Messi or Ronaldo in or Vinny Jr. in to help us, so it is what it is. So, yeah, we need some changes, and I think the manager's got to make some big changes in the next squad. Let's not talk about February, because February's fixtures are an absolute nightmare. For me, the next 2 games that we have, the 2 cup finals.
You're talking about leadership. I would start with Middlesbrough's captain, Hayden Hackney. He was touted around the 15-20 million mark 12 months ago. Man City was sniffing around him. He wouldn't get a game with a dog and gun at the moment. I mean, if you look at him at the moment, he's not putting a tackle in. He looks frightened to get stuck in. And, I know he missed an open goal yesterday, which would have probably won Middlesbrough the game if he had tucked it away. But I'm not bothered about them type of things. I'm bothered about looking at my captain on the pitch, what qualities he's bringing. Is he calling people out? Is he rattling into challenges? Is he showing the leadership that we need? And there was a moment yesterday in the second half where Matt Ritchie clipped him from behind, and down he went like a sack of potatoes, rolling around in front of Matt Ritchie. And it just looked like somebody bullying a young child. I wanted my captain to jump up and grab a hold of Matt Ritchie. I wanted to see other Middlesbrough players come flying in and have a go at Matt Ritchie. But nothing happened. No Middlesbrough players were bothered that he had just randomly kicked Middlesbrough's captain to the ground. These are the things that our Middlesbrough Football Club need to start thinking about when the recruitment side of things, when they're bringing players in. Have we got enough leaders? Have we got enough passion? It's okay having the talent, but you've got to have the leadership qualities as well. So I was really disappointed. Middlesbrough against the bottom 6 this season: Derby, Cardiff, Hull, Portsmouth, Luton and Plymouth. We've played them 9 times so far this season. Won 4, drew 3, lost 2. We've took 15 points from a possible 27. So it's no coincidence that yesterday's result was another rinse and repeat moment, with Middlesbrough playing against the poor side, not being totally committed, taking the lead, and then finding a way to lose the game, both on and off the pitch, with poor substitutions, poor on-field, commitment, management. It's just getting boring. Looking at the back 4, the way we want to play, Graham's said, the Middlesbrough defenders actually perhaps aren't good enough. And you look at yesterday, Glover in goal, Borges, Edmondson, Fry and Vandenberg. How many of those players really would get into a top 3-4 side in this division? And the way Michael Carrick wants us to play, those players with their skill set, it's clear they're not good enough to play the way Michael Carrick wants to play. And I think this is part of the problem, why teams are cutting on to Michael Carrick now. He's a great manager in terms of tactics, how he wants to play, how he wants to set up. But have we actually got the players to play the way he wants to play? Chris on the podcast last week made a great point. He said he's got no doubt in his mind that if Michael Carrick got 60, 70 million pounds and had the best squad and he was coaching them, that would win the league by 20 points. But you've got to be able to manage the players you've been given, the card you've been dealt. And if you can't play out from the back because your goalkeeper's not very good with his feet, and you can't play out from the back because Edmondson's got no pace, not good on the ball, you've got Vandenberg, a fish out of water at right back, you've got to change it. Otherwise, you're just asking for trouble. Yesterday, substitutions, which me and Graham go on about here in this podcast every week, is a problem. You've got Vandenberg struggling, at right back, and yet he waits until the 88th minute to take him off and bring on Luke Ayling. Now, I know Luke Ayling wasn't fit, which is fine, but if he's fit enough to be on the bench, then surely he's fit enough to play half an hour.
Yes, that was my point earlier. Yeah, definitely. I can't get my head around that at all.
And this is happening every week. You're looking when the game's drifting away from where, you've got Marcus Forss sitting on the bench. Could maybe nick a goal, get a point, get back into the game. Marcus Forss doesn't come until the 88th minute. These are all things that I'm sure the supporters sitting in the away end, 2,000 of them, they must be absolutely furious looking at the bench and thinking, what are you going to do, Michael? Do something. You're our leader. You need to change it. Bring somebody on. Change your tactics. But it's not happening week in, week out. What's your thoughts on that, Terry?
I agree with what Bandy said earlier. That if you look at the season in general, like our defence is constantly different every single game, more or less. And yesterday, when that team sheet came out and I did see him at right back, I knew we had problems. I knew there was going to be problems from the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, our two centre-backs are different. Our right back's different, left back. You know, there's no continuity, but at the end of the day, you need your two centre-backs, your best centre-backs fit, and you need them playing as many minutes together as possible to get that connection. We've seen it far too many times this season. How many times we've seen, 7, 8 minutes to go, and we've got every single attacking player on the pitch up front trying to grab an equaliser or, and we shouldn't be in that position. Do I think we're good enough? And do I think our defence is good enough? Yes. But I don't think we're good enough to play out from the back. So yeah, change the system, do something different. But again, it's difficult when, 1 week you have someone at right back, the next you have someone else, your two centre-backs are different. And I said this last time I was on the show regarding our midfield. We went through a period where I think there was McGree on the left, Azaz on the left, Bergzorg on the left. It's been like it all season. And for me, like I said before, I tried to stay positive. I'm worried now. I'm worried. Starting 7th, I really am.
Graham, you put a tweet out last night, which I've... Yeah.
You stalking me?
Well, it was just it just pricked me thought patterns, and because you mentioned recruitment, and we're talking about Middlesbrough's defenders and them not being good enough, and have we got the skill set to play the way Michael Carrick wants to play? And you said recruitment. Go through our squad and tell me how many 8 out of 10 players we have on average every week. 2, maybe 3. Perhaps we're carrying too much deadwood, So I was looking, at our recruitment and at the defenders that's come in under Kieran Scott, and you were wanting to have a chat about that, Graham. So under Kieran Scott, since he's been at the club, the defenders that have come in: Ryan Giles, Darrell Lenihan, Tommy Smith, Matt Clark, Rav Vandenberg, Lucas Engel, Alex Bangura, Neto Borges, George Edmondson, Luke Thomas, Luke Ayling, and Harley Hunt. There's not many standouts there, really, Graham, is there?
No, that was my point. How many of them that you've listed would give you a solid 7, 8? 7's the minimum, 8's acceptable, 9's outstanding in my book. How many of them would give you a 7/8 out of 10 every single week? Absolutely none, because they're not consistent enough and they're never available. You're never going to get more than probably 30 games out of any of them, because they're going to be in and out, they're going to be injured. There's no telepathy in that back 4 or 5 if he ever changes it. There never has been. We've never had a settled 2 centre-back pairing. I don't even know what our settled 2 centre-back pairing would be, because I've never seen 2 players play a run of games together. Going back to the Karanka squad as an example, we knew it would be Danny Ayala and Ben Gibson pretty much every single week. And you knew that nothing was getting past them. You knew it would be Nsue on the right-hand side. He hardly missed a game. You knew it would be George Friend on the left-hand side. So that back 4, it took care of itself. We didn't even need to be as creative as we are in this particular team. My initial thoughts at the start of the season was the defence were carried because we had a lot of possession, and we were using the ball quite effectively through midfield and up front. We just weren't taking chances. Then it got to a spell where we started taking chances, and we looked a good side during that run, and we looked like we were proving to be more than equipped for a promotion assault. However, since Azaz has gone missing, now he's turned into the invisible man since he got his Player of the Month. We've not seen him. Obviously, I was alluding to Morris as well. Pretty much, I've said that all season since his injury, and Caroline rightly pointed out we missed him massively when he got injured. It's nice to have him back, so we might see a little bit more protection of that back 4, but in my book, the back 4 is nowhere near good enough. It's been exposed cruelly time and time again, particularly over the last 6 weeks, and it's highlighting our efficiencies now brutally. So that needs addressing. So we're talking about transfer window. I know he's obviously trying to look at that left-hand side, because it's disgusting, really. It's just exposed week on week, whether it's Borges or Engel. You can pick either of them each week. You guaranteed a mistake or 2 from them both. He's trying to bring in Giles because he knows what he's capable of. He's far better offensively than any of them. We've seen that. He's proved that for us in a red shirt. However, I would still question his defensive capabilities, but it looks like Michael Carrick is hell-bent on bringing in a left-back who he clearly doesn't want to be able to defend. He just wants to play him 10, 20 yards high up on that left-hand side and try and use that position as a weapon for a supply line. And obviously you've got the balance on the right with Doak.
You start looking at 3 centre-backs.
Caroline, I seriously think we do, yes.
Because, it shows up and it allows the players like Giles, Dijksteel, Ayling, whoever it might be, to get forward, but there will always be cover. Because there was no cover for Matt Ritchie on that
none at all.
At all.
Yeah.
So,
and would you trust Clark to come across and cover? Would you trust Fry? I personally wouldn't. So I do think we need to try and build from the back. But Carrick seems to be keen on building from the front. He's obviously looking at his philosophy in terms of outscoring the opposition, which is a good thing, providing you can take all your chances. I spoke about Bergson yesterday. If he puts that away 2-0, you probably think, okay, they'll crumble and we'll see the game out. But he missed the chance, which gave them that impetus. Think, right, there's one in it. We can go for these. And they did. And as soon as teams go for us, we have no clue what to do. And we're speaking about Hackney being a captain. That's when you got to get players in and dig in and say, come on, I need some help in here. But there's no leadership. He's a mouse on the pitch. You can't have a captain that young. He's still wet behind the ears. I said earlier part of the season he needed his hand-holding at Sunderland. He got gobbled up, and it'll happen in these bigger games. West Brom, tough. Stoke, horrible. Sunderland, nightmare. Sheffield United, nightmare. He's got to get up a shape quickly. Thankfully, Morris is back to help him out a little bit, but it's going to take him a few weeks to get going again because he looked really rusty when he come on yesterday, but that's understandable. But a positive, we've got Morris back. We've got Ayling back, who's, for me, is probably our best right back. We'll still come unstuck elsewhere on the pitch, I'm sure, because the players they're proving week on week they're not good enough.
Sorry,
go on, Caroline. No, go on, Caroline.
You were just touching there on leadership a lot, and I've got huge respect for Michael Carrick. I like what he does, and I like most of the time that he's calm, cool, collected. But just now and again, I really want to see him lose his temper. He came out yesterday and he said,
yeah.
We're hurting. We're all hurting in the dressing room. Were they really?
No.
Performance didn't show that. I want him to come out and say, that was not acceptable. A team of mine will not play like that, and I'm going to address it. And I think if he'd have just come out and said that and he'd looked angry, like the fans were, I just think he would have just done the right thing, and the fans would have thought, yeah, actually, he knows what's wrong. He agrees with us, and then trust him to put it right.
For the first time this season, I watched his interview. He looked really flustered and actually lost for words. He couldn't actually pronounce his words, so it's pretty evident that he's probably tore into him, which I hope he has. And hopefully we see a reaction, but generally we never do, which is why we have the same conversation every week. Of course he should, Terry. Should absolutely battle them.
His last 5 or 6 post-match interviews have been exactly the same.
Yeah.
We need to be better at this. We need to do this. We need to be better at... Well, be better then. Like, where are we doing this on the training ground? Like, sort it out, because the fans are sick of the same thing week in, week out. You're sick of the same thing week in, week out. So fix the problems. Like, his post-match interviews are always the same. I'm a big lover of Carrick, and I seen it yesterday on social media. A lot of people want him out. I don't want him out because what are we going to do? Start from scratch again? No, I don't want to start from scratch again at all, because you go back another 2 or 3 years and it was a waste of time bringing him in. I think we'll look at you having. I think he understands the game. He's given us some fantastic football in the past. I do believe that he's going to be a great manager in the future as well. He'll probably be at a top club one day. So for me, sort it out. Like you're the boss. You're the boss. Like, sort it out. Don't be coming in, week out.
It's just that
post-match interview, making the fans annoyed like I am now. Like, show something different. Whether that is straight at the back or changing your top. Go to up top, I don't know. But shows you're the boss. Shows you're the manager.
Let's get into Michael Carrick, because we've all just mentioned there and had a little bit of frustrations of different traits that he has. And it's the conversation that Middlesbrough fans don't want to have. The people post things on social media, but I don't see anybody on the radio or anybody on podcasts at the moment really having that discussion, because you don't want to call for your manager to go. You don't really want to have a go at your leader of your club, in Michael Carrick, for example. But a lot of supporters now are really frustrated and upset over a number of issues regarding Michael Carrick. So we're going to do that on this podcast and get into it and have a discussion, because I'm sure we'll all have varied opinions on what we think about Michael Carrick. Now, to me, he's in danger of coming to the end of his time at Middlesbrough Football Club. Now, it's, to me, under Michael Carrick, it's been rinse and repeat ever since he's been here. It's been poor starts to the season. It's been, after Christmas, a slump. It's been constant battle to get a squad that's fit, with injury problems year on year on year. His tactics, he refuses to change his tactics. It doesn't matter who we're playing against, what our personnel is, what our injury situation is. He wants to play the same way. It doesn't matter if we're playing the top team or the bottom team. He wants to play the same way. We've got an atrocious home record. Atrocious. We've won 16 of the last 37 or whatever it is at home. And his persona, he's dull, he's boring, he's bland. And like Caroline was saying, get angry, get some passion. His after-match interviews are a waste of time. I've given up listening to his pre-match interviews because he doesn't give anything away or says anything of any interest. And it's time now for him to step up as Middlesbrough manager and start calling some of his players out, or saying that he's going to fix these problems like what Terry was saying. Because the way it's going, doesn't matter what credit he's got in the bank as a player and the career that he had, if he doesn't turn things around quickly, he's going to end up losing his job, because Steve Gibson has put a lot of faith in him. He's given him a lot of money, and he's not getting the rewards back. If you look at the squad we've got and the money that we've spent, to be outside the playoff spots at this moment, with the amount of defeats we've had and poor displays, it's embarrassing. It really is. And after the games, he comes out with all these blasé sayings. Oh, that's football. That's football. Or the boys are trying. The boys are trying. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm bored with it, Michael. I want to hear some passion in your voice and how you're going to fix it. And I want to see some changes on the pitch, whether it be substitutions, whether it be tactics, because otherwise you're going to be out the job. It's as simple as that. When we've got Tony Mowbray as West Brom coming on Tuesday night, I think we all know which way that one's going to go. We've then got to go to Preston, and then we've got the derby game against Sunderland at the Riverside. If we get turned over by Tony Mowbray and we get turned over by Sunderland, what's Michael Carrick's reputation going to be then? It's not good. Me personally, if I'm being honest, and I'm going to be honest like I always am, like I've said for weeks on here at the Bandy, I'm bored with his football anyway. I would give him till the end of the season to make the playoffs. I wouldn't do anything rash now. Whatever happens against Sunderland, whatever happens against West Brom, or in 6 or 7 weeks' time, that's that. Me personally, I'd give him till the end of the season to make the playoffs. And if we don't make the playoffs, I would make a change. I really would, because we've got a decent squad in place. There's other young managers out there who have got all different tactics and ways of playing, who could come in with this Middlesbrough squad with a good budget next summer, because by all accounts, Middlesbrough in a good position next summer, PSR-wise, with what we've had to spend. We're probably going to sell that a lot. We're going to have plenty of money to spend next summer. So Middlesbrough will be a lucrative job for a lot of top coaches in and around Europe to come in who would fancy the chances of getting this Middlesbrough squad back into the Premier League. And, you know, there seems to be this, I don't know what it is, fear amongst Middlesbrough fans to say anything derogatory about Michael Carrick, like he's some sort of god, and we're playing sort of godlike football that we've never seen before. Well, we've never seen it before in flashes, when he's played some wonderful football in the Tuber Akpong times and, you know, the odd game here and there. But those games now are getting less and less and less as his time's gone on as manager. You know, let's be honest. What have we actually done? We've made the playoffs and got beaten in the semi-final. We missed out in the playoffs last season. We're outside the playoffs this season with one of the best squads in the league. And it's about time he needs to put up and show how good a manager he is and how good a coach he is and step up. Because at the moment, it's just not good enough. And I mean, I'll let you have the floor and have you see Michael Carrick. Because I know, Terry, I know you're a big admirer of Michael Carrick and the football that he plays. but he needs to be playing that football that you love on a more regular basis, doesn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, and I am a lover of Carrick, and like I've said it many times before, and I don't want to see him leave the club because I think we will go backwards and it's going to cost another 2 or 3 years. That's just my personal opinion as a fan. I just think that the time that he's had at the club would have been a waste of time, basically. But I couldn't care less if he's dull. I couldn't care less if he's like Pep Guardiola or Diego Simeone. I couldn't care less if he's running up and down the sidelines for 90 minutes. He showed a bit of passion when we scored to get a winner against Hull when he was grabbing Woodgate and stuff like that. So his heart, I think his heart is 100% in it. I want to see changes on the pitch. I want to see him now turn around and start making changes on the pitch, like I said before, whether that's 3 at the back, 2 up front, wherever it may be, but we need changes. But on the flip side of that, and again, it's not me saving Michael Carrick from his job. It's me as a fan saying that it's down to the players as well. Look at the positions this football club has been in over the past 5, 6, 7 games. We were 3-0 up against Sheff Wed. Was that Carrick's fault? I don't think it was, mate. I don't think it was. We were 1-0 up against Portsmouth yesterday. If we go 2-0 up at half-time, before half-time, I think we get the job done. I think we do.
Can I pull you up there, Terry, on the Sheff Wed one? You're saying it's not Michael Carrick's fault, for example. If you're 3-0 up at half-time in a championship football match at the Riverside in front of 34,000 people, that should be game over. And the Sheffield Wednesday manager tweaked his tactics at half-time by putting an extra midfielder on because he could see Middlesbrough were overrunning them in midfield and tweaked these tactics. They then start getting into the game and nicked a goal back at 3-1. That was the calling bell for Michael Carrick to say, I'm going to match it up here and I'm going to sit in and we're going to do what teams do to Middlesbrough week in, week out and park the bus and we're going to see this game out and get that game won.
Yep,
for Middlesbrough to capitulate and go 3-2, 3-3, get a man sent off, and actually, barring a great tackle by Latialat in the last minute of the game, would have lost the game. That, for me, is on Michael Carrick.
It is. We were 3-0 up, we were cruising. I was at the game myself, but also the players came out that second half thinking the game was over. You can't do that at this level.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Never over. It's never over. It's never over till the final whistle is gone. We came out, and the players came out that second half thinking the game was over. You could see it in the body language. And as soon as I scored that first goal, I was sat with the lad next to me and he went, oh, here we go. Here we go. We can't be saying here we go when we're still 3-1 up. 2-goal advantage against Sheffield at home, and the guy next to me saying here we go. And he's right. And we held on. We were looking to get a draw. But that was down to the players as well. But it can't happen. It's happened too many times against Watford. It's happened against Sheffield, Plymouth. We need to change. It's got to change now. Now.
So who did Michael Carrick play under? Who was his leader? Who was his manager for years and years and years? Sir Alex Ferguson. That type of performance against Sheffield Wednesday would happen once under Sir Alex Ferguson, and those players would never, ever, ever go there again or come out for a second half, right? These players under Michael Carrick do it every other week. So that Michael Carrick needs to find that Sir Alex Ferguson stardust, or I'm the boss and this is the way we do things at this football club. Otherwise, you're out the football club. And that's
clearly,
go on, Bandy.
They're clearly taking a lead of him, in my opinion. They've got an easy ride, these players. They've got an easy ticket. His sort of lackadaisical demeanour is obviously coming across in the dressing room. They know they can get away with stuff, and they're going to keep doing it unless he sort of sharpens up a little bit and becomes a little bit more dictatorial. You know, this level of ineptitude wouldn't have happened under Bruce Rioch. I use him as an example of a Borough manager. It certainly wouldn't, because the discipline was there. I'm not sure that the discipline's there. It just seems a bit of a jolly boys club, and whoever turns up gets a game. At times, I'm sure players are dictating whether they want to play or not, because the Riley McGree situation, he's picked up another injury. How? Oh, he's done his train all week. It's just crazy, really. We never have a settled team. And I'm not sure whether the players are that interested in having a settled team. They're just going through the motions, and he's happy to allow them to do that. He's got to get tough. He's got to get tough, because he'll get found out and he'll be out of a job, and it'll be down to him. And then he'll probably regret that. Being at a club like Borough, it's a big job. It's not a Mickey Mouse job. You take it seriously.
Caroline, can I just bring you in on Michael Carrick? If Middlesbrough don't make the playoffs this season and, finish 8th, 9th, 10th outside the playoffs, would you be in favour of a change in the summer, or would you rather stay with Michael Carrick, give him the budget and give him a fourth opportunity to get to the Premier League?
I think there's a few things there. I think, firstly, the players currently need to take a long, hard look at themselves. Secondly, there would have to be, if we don't make the playoffs this season, or if we go out with a whimper in the playoffs, there has to be a root and branch look at what's happened during Michael Carrick's reign, and why he's not achieved his KPI. If you're looking at a business, I'm sure Steve Gibson said to him, Michael, you get us promoted, and gave him a timescale to do that. And we all know that Steve Gibson, he's a hard-nosed businessman. And at the end of the day, for all, I'm quite sure he's got a very close, good relationship with Michael Carrick. He won't hesitate to cut him in a similar way to that he did with Gareth Southgate. I personally would prefer him to stay for another year to have another go. I do wonder, and Terry mentioned the name a few minutes ago, is Jonathan Woodgate the right man to have alongside him? Are they too similar? Is there a good cop, bad cop? Is Woodgate, and I don't know the answer to this, and I don't think any of us do, is Woodgate the right man to have alongside him? Is he bringing anything to the party? I saw something on Twitter X yesterday, and somebody had put up a picture of Brian Robson and El Tel and said, should we, it basically implied, should we replicate this? Should we bring somebody to actually, just give Michael Carrick a bit of help? And somebody said Neil Warnock, and other people said other things. I'm not saying we should necessarily do that, but I think we have to look at the end of the season. If we don't achieve our goals, we have to look at not just Michael Carrick, but the whole thing. From Woodgate, Kieran Scott, who I am quite an admirer of, despite that list of defectors that you gave us a while ago. And just look at everything. And also, injuries. 2 players, Dyche Steele and McGree, got injured in training this week, or so we're told. Or is Riley McGree actually now regretting signing that contract, or did he sign it so he's got some... I don't know, because I think he wants out the club personally.
I do as well, Caroline.
I don't think he wants to be here. So, yes, I would definitely keep Michael Carrick for the rest of the season. No knee-jerk reactions. Big investigation at the end of the season if we don't achieve our goals. And personally, I'd like him to stay and just hope he learns. But I also do want to see a little bit more of the Diego Simeone in him at times. I want to see him kick the dugout. I want to see him scream at the players, and just show that bit of passion that, we scream at the players. And I just want to see him do that now and again.
Terry, you've obviously got a lot to do with fitness and training regimes and stuff like that, and know a lot about things. Do Middlesbrough need to take a look at what's going on at Rockcliffe? Since Michael Carrick's been here, the amount of injuries we've had, the key players, and even just this season, obviously Riley McGree's out now, Dyche Steele's out in training, Senny Dieng's just came back, don't know what's been wrong with him. Tommy Smith's been out since last season, he's still not back and he's had a setback. Bangura's still out, been missing for months and months and months. Marcus Force has been missing for months, just come back. Morris has been injured, fair enough, that was in America. Luke Aylin's been injured. Conway's done his hamstring, he's out injured. Sol Bryn's done his shoulder, he's out for 3 months. Johnny Howson, the club captain, got an injury, he's out for months. Darragh Lenihan, they've still got him locked in the cupboard with Sammy Amiobi from 3-4 years ago. Nobody's seen him since. I hope they're feeding him and giving him something to drink. He could be wasting away, poor fella, It's an absolute clown show, isn't it?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask. You're just going to get me super passionate again and angry, and all these emotions are going to fly out because, as you know, I'm not a young pup anymore. I'm 41 now, and for me, one of the biggest things is staying injury-free, and I've only had to touch wood. I'm touching my false leg here, touch wood. I've only had a few injuries over the years, but, it just frustrates me big time. I don't get it. I know it's different. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes and stuff like that. But, and I'll say it again, I think McGree is our best footballer at the club, and we just can't get him on the pitch. We can't get him on the pitch. He plays a game or 2 in a row, and then he's out for 3 weeks, then he's back again, and it can't happen. It just cannot happen. But yeah, there's got to be questions asked, haven't there? I mean, you can't have that many injuries in a football team. It's going to affect you in the long run. I think it's affected us. Like I said before, it's not a coincidence that Morris has been out and we've been struggling. I don't particularly like Barlaster and Hackney in midfield. I think there's nothing there. It's too soft. So yeah, there's got to be big questions asked. But injuries are injuries. I mean, what if a lad turns up at training and says this is hurting, that's hurting? What can you say? It's down the medical team. If the medical team says he can't play, he can't play.
Do you think players are, it's a bit of a cop-out when the tough gets going, some players go missing, Terry?
I hope not, because like I said, this club is in my heart and I love this club to bits. And if we do have players like that at my football club, then I don't want them here. They can go elsewhere. I'd hope to think that, but again, like you said yesterday, that foul on Hackney when he went down. Have you ever stood next to Bergzorg? Have you seen the size of him? He's like this, he's huge, he's massive. Every touch he gets, he goes down on the floor. And he doesn't get back up, he's not fighting it.
But
sometimes it's just a question of commitment, and I don't know. Middlesbrough are very good when things are going good for us. We look like world beaters. Very, very good. But when the going gets tough, people go missing, and that's something I don't like right now.
Our flat track bullies, Graham, Middlesbrough, where when the going's, like Terry said, when the going's good and we're playing like say Luton at home, who are playing open football, and we put them to bed 5-1 and look a wonderful side. But when we're up against Portsmouth yesterday, down at Fratton Park, it's cold, the atmosphere right on top of the pitch, people rattling into tackles, the pitch is bobbly, and we don't fancy it. Our flat track bullies, Graham.
You asked me last week regarding the Portsmouth game, and I sensed it would be a horrible place to go, purely down to them characteristics you've mentioned there. Tough team. They're going to get into you. These teams that you mentioned, we've picked up a very poor points haul against the bottom six. And it's actually easy to understand why, because these teams are scrapping for every single inch of that pitch, and we're too cocksure, I think, at times. We think it'll happen without actually putting in the endeavour to make it happen, if that makes sense. And I'm pretty certain if we were top of the league or cemented comfortably in that top two, then we wouldn't have half as many injuries. I think it's too easy for players to think, got a niggle, I don't fancy going down to Portsmouth, don't fancy this one. I just have that gut feeling. I don't have any evidence to back that up, so I could be shot down in flames. But it's just a hunch, it's just a whiff of inevitability about things at the moment. And when the going gets tough, back to Terry's question and yourself, yeah, we go hiding. We've seen in that midfield, it's the softest midfield in the Championship, in my opinion. Without Morris, obviously Morris coming back, like I say, he's got to get sort of rewired a bit and get going again. But we've somehow sort of limped along with Hackney and Barlaser. We've picked up results, and I'm surprised that we have, but we're not picking up enough, because that is arguably the weakest centre pairing in midfield, and they're easy to get at. I mean, Caroline had a little go at Barlaser, and I fully agree with her. He's the catalyst for everything we do. He's that central pivot. Everything goes through him, and then he can dictate what's happening, but he's incapable. He's easy to brush off the ball. If you're an opposition manager, you just target him. He's 6 stone ringing wet. Just take the ball off him. He's going to give it away anyway. So get at him. Take the ball off him. It's like taking candy from a baby. It really is. And he's got to get the shape. He can't take a corner.
I was just going to say, don't you come to his set pieces.
We can't have players like that. He sort of struts around the pitch as though he's like the orchestrator. He's the kid at school that doesn't want to run, but wants the ball all the time. He just wants to ping these Hollywood balls out of play. Not good enough. Not good enough. Honestly, it just annoys me. Frustrated with him.
Right, guys, take a breather, calm down, take a chill pill.
Love the passion, though, don't we? Love the passion.
We love the words. We want them the same way we do.
Yeah.
I'm just going to plug our prize draw. So we'll have a little chill, and I'll plug the prize draw, and we'll get back into it. Midas Cladna Middlesbrough sponsor the podcast every month with prizes. If you don't know, this month, walkout jacket or retro shirt up for grabs. Pick any one you want off the club's website. All you've got to do is retweet the prize tweet on X and follow us on X, the Typical Boro podcast, and you'll be entered for free into the draw, and you've got a chance of winning a walkout jacket or retro shirt of your choice. So I can't say it fairer than that. Right, just looking ahead quickly to the next 4 games, like I briefly mentioned earlier.
Caroline's face.
West Bromwich Albion on Tuesday night. The legend that is Tony Mowbray coming back to the Riverside, followed by Preston away, where we're taking 4,000 down or something, aren't we, down there? The Preston.
Yes, sold out again, I think.
Then we've got Sunderland in the Derby game coming after that at home, followed by Chris Wilder's Sheffield United down at Bramall Lane. Now, if you could have handpicked a harder set of fixtures than that for Middlesbrough Football Club, you'd have done well. I'll start with you, Graham. Doesn't look too clever, does it, these 4 fixtures coming up?
No, it looks horrific. Going on current form, it looks like we won't get a point. That's being realistic, because I'll tell you why. West Brom, Mowbray's already gone on record and pretty much outlined how he knows he's going to beat us. He's talking about press and things, and it's pretty obvious. So we've got to react to that. You put something out on Twitter regarding that, and it's basically an alarm bell to Carrick about the press. So we might have to look at something different in that game and try and go over the top if they're going to press us. But Mowbray will know whether he's going to press or not. So that is tricky. Mowbray's first game, really. Typical. Another Boro meme. You know, we like a Boro meme, but come on. Morgan, it'd be fantastic to see him at the Riverside again. Brilliant. He'll get an unbelievable reception from both sets of fans. He's a godlike figure on Teesside. We know that. And he always seems to get the upper hand over us, so it's going to be tricky. Draw at best. Preston, they bang at it, as in terms of attitude, scrapping for points. They're not a great team, but we never get a result there. Hopefully, we can somehow find a way to score and fling on, but that's going to be tricky. Sunderland, wow, watch them on Friday against Burnley. They're a good, young, energetic, technically gifted side. They'll graft hard for their manager, so that is tough. And then Sheffield United, the Wilder factor, is going to want to absolutely shove one on us big style. So it's going to be tough. Well, I can't be optimistic and say, oh yeah, we'll get 3 there, 1 there. It's hard. So I genuinely don't know where. We'll probably pick up 2 points maximum.
Terry, I'm just going to bring you because you're our, optimist and enthusiast of the podcast, right? But if you're Michael Carrick and things have been going terribly wrong lately and this, that and the other, I'm just going to put this one to you, Terry. Hasn't he got a massive opportunity here to redeem himself? And what I mean by that is, can you imagine from a Michael Carrick's perspective, if he was to beat Tony Mowbray's West Brom at the Riverside, if he was to win at Preston in front of 4,000 Middlesbrough fans in an away end, if he was to beat Sunderland in the Derby game on Sky at home, if he was to beat Chris Wilder's Sheffield United away from home, but these are opportunities. That's the way we've got to look at things, isn't it, Terry?
Yeah, and that's the way he's got to look at it. As you know, I've been involved in a team sport for over 20 odd years, and it's a big moment. Like I said earlier, I can't look at February because then fixtures are horrible. Like it said, it's Sheffield United and even Watford. We've got to play Watford. They're playoff hopefuls as well. So February's horrible.
And Stoke.
Yeah, Stoke as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, February's horrible. For me, the next 2 games are massive. I think, number one, because if we don't get a result at the Riverside, that next game at the Riverside is going to be horrible from that first moment in the game. Because the fans are just going to get on the team, they're going to get on the manager, and it's going to be a horrible place to go. Our home form is ridiculous anyway. We've had a terrible season, haven't we, at home? So for me, but he's got to make changes. This is his time now. I think he's got to realise now as a manager that, yeah, you look at the fixtures coming up in February, which is crazy. For me personally, like I said before, the next 2 games are massive. I think he's got to show us on the pitch. I think he's got to make changes in defence. He's got to make changes up front. And he's got to show that he's the boss of this club. But trust me, if we don't get a result at that Riverside against West Brom, I fear the worst. It's going to become a horrible place.
Right, we're going into the last 10 minutes of the podcast. It's been a pretty depressing place to be for obvious reasons. I mean, we knew it was going to be this way, but we've got to tell it like it is. That's what this podcast's all about. So I'm going to have a bit of fun because we haven't done this for a while, Graham. I'm going to bring back the typical Boro Soccer 6. We've got 2 guests on. We haven't done it in a long while, but I'm going to bring it back for you two to end it with a bit of fun. If you don't know what it is, basically, you've got to pick a Middlesbrough Soccer 6 side from players that you've watched in your lifetime watching the Boro. You've got to pick a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and a striker. Right? you can't pick the same player as each other. So if Terry wants to put Lat up front, you can't. Yeah? Oh, we'll have a bit of fun. At the end of it, Graham Bandira will pick the winner. He'll pick who he thinks is the best team. And the winner then goes through to take on Simon Blower, who's our current champion. Simon Blower's team I have here, and I'll read it out after you have picked yours, and then that team will go onto X, and the winner of this one will play Simon Blower on X, and the fans will decide who's going to be our reigning champion, right? So Caroline's going to go first because ladies are going to go first on the podcast. We're all gentlemen. So we'll start with you, Caroline, for your typical Boro Soccer 6. Who would you pick as the best goalkeeper you've seen while you've been supporting the Boro?
Mark Schwarzer.
Big Mark Schwarzer. He's been a popular choice. Which then,
Terry.
so then,
Unlucky tell.
this is what the game is all about. It sounds easy, but it's not.
I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go Stephen Pears.
Oh, my hero, Stephen Pears. Well, them two goalkeepers you've picked there, they're by far, in my opinion, the two best goalkeepers Middlesbrough have had. I mean, a lot of older fans listening might mention Jim Platt, but I'm not that old, thankfully. Right, we'll come to Caroline for your first defender.
Dewey Bohm, 6'2", eyes of blue.
Wow.
Dewey Bohm.
What a shout.
Dear me. Brilliant. Terry, first defender.
Southgate.
Southgate. Captain Fantastic comes in. Caroline, your second defender.
Gary Pallister.
Hey, Pallister. Play the ball out from the back, Caroline, at the Soccer Sixes.
Yeah.
Pallister, good on the ball.
Lovely.
Terry, second defender.
Probably going to be a really bad, unpopular choice, but Woodgate.
Johnny Woodgate.
I just thought he was class.
He was a classic
World class.
defender.
Absolutely
Really
world class.
class.
And so we'll move into the midfield. So you've got Caroline, come to you for your first midfielder.
Bobby Murdoch.
I'm liking this. It's a lot of old school players that we haven't had on the podcast coming into it now.
I'm an old school fan.
That's good. Bobby Murdoch comes in. Played for Celtic, didn't he, Bobby Murdoch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caroline's team at the moment is hard as nails.
Yeah.
I don't see it losing a game.
Two of them in the team now.
Terry,
Good job.
Terry, that's just a little hint, mate.
You might need some midfield reinforcements, Tell.
Well, I'm going to get in there first. I'm going to go with the little fella having that Janino.
That would be an interesting combination, Murdoch versus Janino.
Janino, yeah. Well, I'm going to stick with the theme and go with Robbo, my hero, Brian Robson.
Brian Robson, Bandy's hero.
And Janino as well. And Southgate.
Yeah.
So this is tough. This might go to penalties.
I don't know, yeah.
Terry's second midfield player.
This is tough, this. Whether go with a bit of flair or solid or... I'm losing here, Bandiana, big time.
No comment from the referee. Got to stay impartial.
If you think this is tough, what about Carrick picking that West Brom team?
I tell you what, I wish we had Bobby Murdoch.
I wish we had any of these players.
Oh, right.
Some names on here, by the way. Brilliant.
I think I'm just going to go with class, and just because I couldn't believe we had him at the club one time, and I think, imagine him and Janino together, I'm going to go with Mendieta.
Mendieta.
Guaranteed goals, Bandy, guaranteed goals. Him and Janino.
Mendy was different league, mate. He was superb.
Now, this is the choice that could make or break both of yous. So think long and hard. Who's going to be your marksman up front to put the ball in the back of the net?
Well,
Caroline.
I'm going back even further. My first ever Boro hero who I idolised, and that's Big John Higton.
John Higton. If it goes to penalties, Caroline, he's going to be a good one for you.
He is.
So
Terry.
many to choose, so isn't it?
It's good this because you've got almost old school versus new school.
Yeah, I know, but there's so many
Different
lads
eras, good.
you could pick up top there.
Got to think it's a soccer sixes as well, Tel.
I'm going to go with Yak Yakubu. Yeah, I'm going to go with Big Yak. I used to love watching that guy play for us. Used to love him.
So, we'll go back through the teams for Graham for a refresh, and then we'll come to our expert adjudicator.
I've got them all written down here. I've wrote the teams down, so wait.
For people listening at home, though, as a refresh, Terry Bywater has gone Stephen Pears, Gareth Southgate, Jonathan Woodgate, Juninho, Mendieta, and Yakubu. And Caroline Walker has went Schwarzer, Stuart Bohm, Gary Pallister, Bobby Murdoch, Brian Robson, and Big John Hickton. Over to you, Bandy.
Good shout.
This is so tough. I mean, I quite like the fact Caroline's dressed for the occasion by the players she's picked. Yeah, that's impressive. Dicko, you've obviously dressed for Eltel's team. This is so hard. You're both wonderful people, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
But one of you's going to hate me, aren't you? So, right, I'm going to go Caroline, right? And here's my reason why. Everybody was balancing each other out brilliantly. Bobby Murdoch against Juninho, completely different physiques, different players. Robbo Mendieta, fairly similar. Big John and Yak, both penalty kings, as we know. But it was the way the Yak left Middlesbrough. That's what swung it.
I just went all out attack though, didn't I? I went for goals.
He couldn't leave with his head held high. He left under very awkward circumstances. We heard the story about the dressing room at the Wigan game where he didn't try a leg that game, and he just So his mercenary tendencies have let you down, Tel. But in saying that, when he was on his game, he was a hell of a player and unplayable at times.
Absolute class.
But the strength and solidity of Bourne, Robson and Bobby Murdoch, I don't see that team losing any six-a-side game anywhere in the world.
See,
so well done, Caroline.
Robson as well.
I've actually had a
good shout as well.
Robson, class shouts then, by the way.
Robson, I'm taking Robson would be the manager, Caroline, as well, is it? Player manager?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Who would you have for your manager? Would you have Southgate or Woodgate, Tel?
Juninho, I just do what he wanted. Give Juninho the team and do what he wants.
No, but I agree with Dicko on Schwarzer and Pearsie being our best two keepers.
They're definitely the best two keepers I've seen for a long time.
Phenomenal.
I nearly went with Willie Wigham, but
that would have been an outstanding shout.
Nat Schwarzer did pip him though as being an actually good keeper.
So Caroline, that your team's going to go on X, and it's going to go up against Simon Blower's team. And I'll tell you what Simon Blower's team was. Simon Blower's got Zach Steffen in goal. He's got Jeremy. He's got Christian Ziege, Paul Merson, Emerson, and up front he's got Alan Boksic.
Good.
So
yeah.
That your
totally
team
different to
totally
Caroline. Blower's gone full technical ability, I think.
Yeah. So we'll get that stuck up on X, Caroline, and see how you get on against Simon to see if you got a chance of being our champion. So right, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate your comments and your thoughts and everything else. I hope you enjoyed it.
Very emotional. But you do realise that we're going to make the playoffs and we are going to get promoted, you know.
But that's what we want. That's what we want.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
We're going to get Giles in. McGree's going to get fit. That's going to help us out big time, and we're getting promoted.
We're going to get 8 points out the next 4 games. No doubt. No.
Again, Caroline, that's exactly what we want.
What we want. Minimum 8.
Let's hope they do what the podcast's called Typical Boro.
Yeah.
Right, that's it for another week. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll be back next week. And remember, don't see a Typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it.